In this episode of Highlight Sundays, we have news coming from Mountain View this time. Hello and welcome back to Highlight Sundays. It is the 44th week of 2012 and here are your highlights. Our first item today is a PSA. I know I haven't done those for a while, but they're not dead. It's just that sometimes I don't find content that fit in the PSA section. But this week we do have content, so let's jump right in. You may or may not have heard of this operation called w44. You see, there is basically this internet hoax that has been going on. So what actually happened was someone pretended to be some sort of official account, and basically they said, well, Justin Bieber has cancer and that fans should start shaving their head, in some kind of a respectful gesture. And then, fans started doing that until it was eventually revealed that the people who actually posted that news weren't legitimate news sources at all. Justin Bieber does not have cancer, and so the fans who shaved their heads, yeah. So our message from this is very simple. Simply that, don't believe everything you see on the internet. Even if something looks like it comes from a credible source, make sure you check it to really be sure that the source is indeed credible. And even if it is an official, let's say a Twitter account from an official person or site, it's still fully possible for that account to be hacked. So bottom line, take everything you see on the internet with a pinch of salt and, just never go to extremes with what you see on the net. Our next item, or should I say our next segment, is yet another bumper segment. You remember last week I actually did a 3-in-1? Well, this week we're gonna have a 6-in-1. And similar to last week, this is also along the lines of some kind of a product announcement, and of course it involves Google. The segment actually comes to you in 3 parts, so let's start right off by talking about the Google Nexus 4. As you should know by now, because I mentioned this many times on my channel, the Nexus series of phones are basically made by Google. They are supposed to carry, software updates directly from Google. So they don't have any third-party stuff like, say a Samsung Galaxy Note. So the whole point of it is that it is a pure Google flagship device. The Google Nexus 4 is manufactured by LG, and from what I've seen so far about it, it seems to be a pretty great phone. So some features of the new Nexus 4 include 2GB of RAM, 1.5 GHz quad-core processor, a 4.7-inch screen at 1280 by 768 resolution, 8-megapixel rear camera, and most importantly, a battery that packs more juice, 2100 mAh as compared to the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, its predecessor, which I happen to have, and the battery of that guy is only 1750 mAh. So for just this first part, there are actually 2 links, one from Engadget and one from Gizmodo, which of course cover roughly the same stuff regarding the specifications of the Nexus 4. Oh, and I want to mention this right now by the way. Many of my favorite sources, Gizmodo, Lifehacker, Engadget, all these guys I believe have servers that may be affected by the hurricane, so the sites may or may not be up. It is an unfortunate thing that I can't really do anything about. Obviously, when I found those links, the site was working, but they may or may not be working when you try to access them, so don't be too surprised. Anyway, part 2, as you know, when Google comes out with a Nexus phone, chances are they also have something new with regard to the software, and that is also true this time. The release of the Nexus 4 coincides with the release of Android Jelly Bean 4.2. This is actually a minor update to Android Jelly Bean 4.1, which has already been out for a period of time now. You can check out this gallery in IBNLive for more info, but the more notable improvements include improvements to the camera and the keyboard, the ability to have multiple accounts on the same device, a little idle screensaver function, as well as having widgets on the lock screen, which is arguably one of the features that I'm really looking forward to. You can also check out this article with coverage from Engadget. They basically cover the above mentioned points in slightly more detail, so you can check that out as well. In addition, there is this article from Lifehacker which shows you how you can actually obtain some of the 4.2 features which haven't actually been officially rolled out just yet. But if you have a rooted device, you may be able to actually install the new camera and the new keyboard. So if you're interested, the Lifehacker link is in the video description. Do hop over and give a look. Now the third part of this is pretty short, But as you know, Google's Nexus line has expanded to include stuff like tablets. So the Nexus 4 is the new phone, the Nexus 7 and the Nexus 10 are basically just Android tablets. Now, just some months ago, we actually had one more item in the Nexus line called the Nexus Q. Basically, this is a little sphere thing that is supposed to connect to your TV to provide, streaming capabilities. This item has been mysteriously removed from the Nexus lineup. By the looks of it, it has been discontinued, probably because of its price and not too glamorous functionality. So yeah, that's kinda interesting and not entirely unexpected. So there is a slightly deeper analysis by Engadget on this issue. You can also find a link in the video description. Now I've used up quite a bit of my time today, so the next two articles are going to be a little bit shorter. The third item I have today is actually a discovery by an MIT professor and students. So what they've done is they've actually developed this computer algorithm that is able to actually predict what are some of the Twitter trending topics. According to the article, it is actually able to make this prediction up to 4 to 5 hours in advance. So not only is this really interesting, I think there are also pragmatic uses. For example, to advertisers who will be able to preempt and serve ads that are more relevant. By the sounds of it, no exact details have been released regarding this algorithm just yet. However, there is an MIT workshop next week, which I believe they will actually be giving some sort of a briefing or just more details regarding the algorithm in general. Our last item today is called the world's thinnest house. Now, I originally found this article on Lifehacker. Unfortunately, when I tried to re-access it today, the page was actually not accessible. So I found an alternative source which I believe refers to the same thing. But what this is a fully, functional house that actually fits in a gap between two houses. So there is a hatch that you actually have to use to get in, and basically everything is just laid out in a very vertical fashion. I cannot even begin to describe this, so check out the link I have for you. It's the last link in the video description. You'll be able to see some schematics, some cross-section views, and you can see how they managed to pack a bedroom, a living room, some washing area, all into that tiny little space. It is a very interesting design concept. I don't know how very practical it is. I bet it gets claustrophobic after a while. But yeah, that was pretty smart thinking. And that's all there is for today's episode of Highlight Sundays. I just want to add a quick little vlog segment, and that is, well, I've recently just crossed the 300 video mark. Also, I'm hitting nearly 700 subscribers, so I just wanted to take this moment to say a huge thanks to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your support. Do keep coming back to watch my videos. And of course, remember that I appreciate every like, favorite, and subscription you give me. As always, if you have any comments, queries, or suggestions, and if you have any content to add for week 45 of Highlight Sundays, do feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. So once again, that's all there is for this episode of Highlight Sundays. Until next time, you are watching 0612 TV. Hey guys, it's coffee time. Yeah, that's not the right show.